Hello, and welcome to Final Show Films. I'm John, the executive producer here, and I've got a few pre-show notes for you. First, a reminder. All of the content we produce is available on our website at finalshowfilms.com, as well as youtube.com/senstaku, senstaku.podbean.com, twitch.tv/senstaku, and on iTunes. We are only able to do the things we do thanks to the kind support of our Patreon donors. We give a special shout out to our $25 tier supporters, Antitonic and Cat Waterflame. If you'd like to support us that way, be sure to check it out. Secondly, a thank you to the folks over at 411mania.com. They produce articles and content related to wrestling, MMA, movies, music, and gaming. Go check them out. We appreciate their support as well. And lastly, be sure to subscribe, comment, and rate, if possible, wherever you listen to or watch our content. It helps us know what you like, what you don't like, and helps us make more content. Feedback is always appreciated. With all that being said, sit back, relax, and enjoy. Live. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Shadows of the Valley, Episode 6, Hunting. When last we left off, our samurai warriors were hunting artifacts and allies and various things that will help them deal with Kairai Akujin, a apparently powerful monk that is also a very powerful lost. One of the
That's a weird way to spell asshole.
One of the lost being samurai who have been so overcome by the darkness of the Shadowlands that they have become monsters like them. I'm your storyteller for the evening, and I'm John. And joining me today is Jeremy.
Hi, I am Jeremy. I am playing Hisaki Hisoka, the Dragon Clan Investor. I got my name right the first try.
Yay! And Aaron.
Hi, I'm Erin, and I am playing Yase Hinata, the Lion Clan Shugenja.
And Jack.
Hi, I'm Jack. I play Nakano Hayato, the Shisoro infiltrator of the Scorpion Clan.
And William.
Hi, I'm William. I'm playing Renakane, the Crab Clan Berserker, and my Muso gauge is empty.
Once again, we are short a Mara, but she is on her back home from wherever she was, and will hopefully be joining us either later this evening or next week. So, when last we left off, Akane and Suzume had found the Ronin they were looking for, who has been surrounded by what seem to be members of the Mantis clan who are harassing him for some reason unknown to the two of them. And Akane said something at the end of last episode. So Akane, let's pick up with what you said.
Yeah, so I had walked up to the outside circle of the Mantis clan, and you don't want to start this fight. You know he's going to kill you all, right?
They sort of look over at you, sort of jeering. One of them sort of spits on the ground. We don't have anything to worry about from this clanless loser. Ronin are all the same, dishonorable. They fled their clan and master and really are just a blight on our existence.
I look through them at him.
He seems to be waiting for them to move out of the way.
You didn't flee. You're Ronin because your entire clan has been destroyed. You're the only survivor.
He doesn't seem to he doesn't seem to react. He looks like kind of like somebody waiting for a bus at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Which is pretty impressive for a culture wherein buses have not yet been invented.
Yeah. He's just standing there with the Bicento on his shoulder. Give me a perception roll.
Okay, 1 second. Perception. 20.
You notice as he just sort of very calmly holding it, a little bit of electricity sort of darts up the shaft of this full metal Bicento and dances along the edge.
Mm-hmm. I need to speak with you after you've dealt with these people. Try not to kill too many of them. They are simply, well, they are still warriors of the Mantis clan.
So, getting apparently getting irritated at his lack of response, one of the Mantis warriors just draws a bow and aims it at him. All right, well, we're gonna go ahead and put this dog down. So, and you sort of watch him shift slightly. He doesn't like take a full step, but he shifts just enough that the arrow ricochets off of the shoulder armor that you saw he has on his on the shoulder that his robe isn't covering. It just sort of ricochets off, and then he moves, and you see what he does, but you're not certain you could replicate it.
Yeah.
As he makes one very smooth circular swing with the Bicento. And he doesn't actually connect with anybody, but as the Bicento passes by, there is a explosion of sound. And all four of the Mantis Samurai surrounding him just fly backwards as they hit walls. It seems that when swung, this blade appears to release some sort of sonic boom that just blew them all away. Yes, Jack?
Can Hayato make a perception check to see if he heard this across town?
All three of you can make perception checks.
Yay!
As Akane is just kind of standing there as her outfit is kind of fluttered by the force of it as she looks at the four Mantis clan members that have been sent in all four directions.
A couple of them went through walls, like just a...
Construction not great. I got a 28.
You definitely heard
got
the
a
sound
19.
of a... Yeah, both of you heard what sounds like thunder, but not in the sky. Yeah, and you also hear what sounds like thunder, but definitely on the ground.
I just look over at whichever, because we were all looking for monks, I think, right? Yeah. So yeah, I just look over the two of them, Akane, and start walking towards it.
Well, I see I was right, she says as she looks at the bodies that have flown in all directions.
Yeah, they don't seem to be too terribly injured, but they are definitely scrambling to get away. As they realize, oh, fuck, well, damn. He doesn't seem to be chasing after them as two of them go and retrieve the one that had shot the bow, whose bow is snapped from the force of the blowback.
I just approach, no weapon, no hands-on weapons, nothing even remotely hostile.
He turns to look at you, and you guys weren't that far away. At roughly this time, the other three sort of turn the corner, and you see... Definitely looks like somebody went through a wall over here, and you see a group of Mantis colored people sort of dragging somebody away down an alleyway. Akane and this large, very broadly built male samurai with faded yellow hakama and gi and kimono, with
I'm looking for Sparrow
with a pair of katana wakizashi on his hip and a bicento over his shoulder. Sparrow is just sort of laying like fists, chin on fists, elbows on roof, like on the roof, slanting down above you.
Do the people?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Do the people what?
Do the people going down the alley look injured?
Bruised, maybe, not like bleeding.
Okay, but still technically wounds. Got it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not unobvious, so I'll wait for instructions.
So, the Lord of this land has need of your assistance. There's a threat encroaching that I don't think any of us can quite handle yet. And you not only have the skill, but the weapon that might be necessary to help combat this threat.
And he's sort of, again, he's just sort of turned and is looking at you. You see his eyes flicker past you. And if you turn to follow, you see the rest of your group. He's sort of looking you sort of trace his eye line, and he's looking at Hisoka.
Yeah, I glance over my shoulder. I give the hand signal to get to approach.
I mean, it's approaching anyways, but
Um,
As my internet
as
dies
we're
out.
headed that way, Hinata's going to sort of look, see if the Mantis Clan guys are still there.
No, they took off.
Oh, okay.
Internet. Okay, we're back.
Then just follow sort of behind Hisoka.
All right, so you all approach.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
He turns to more fully face you, and again, you get this. Again, this is a. He makes Akane look tiny, and Akane is fairly big.
Okay.
Can I make a etiquette roll to know what is the most appropriate way to approach somebody and basically say, "Hey, you're a freelance disgrace. Would you like to be a non-freelance non-disgrace? Because we have an opening."
Sure, give me an etiquette roll. Do any of you have any? Do you have any?
I have a courtesy emphasis.
Yeah, courtesy would be an appropriate emphasis for anyone that has that.
Okay.
Anyone who wants to make that.
That's a
Sure.
23.
It's a 33.
We'll go with Hisoka on this one.
So both of you would know that's sort of a tricky subject because typically when somebody is on their own end, there's a very good reason for it. Either they abandoned their master, or their master died and they didn't see fit to swear fealty to another one.
Mm-hmm.
So asking them to swear fealty to a new master is a tricky proposition, especially if you don't know why they haven't already.
I mean, that's fair.
Probably the best way to approach would be kind of what Akane did, which is, sort of offer the explanation of why you need their help.
Yeah.
First, rather than saying, "Hey, would you like to swear loyalty to a new master?" It's like, I need your help. Can you help?
So, could I get like a heraldry roll to maybe know who this guy is?
Sure. Lore heraldry.
Uh, 20?
So because you just recently read about it, he doesn't have any insignia, but the faded colors and style of his attire match with the stories you guys read about of the clan that was sort of wiped out.
Okay.
That apparently owned one of those legendary weapons you were reading about.
Ah, okay. I was kind of hoping William would be here to give to provide the. Here is the introduction.
Akane will turn and step back and introduce this person as a Ronin of a dead clan. Wields the lightning by Sento that we have been looking for.
Yeah. Words, brain. Yeah, Ahsoka sort of steps forward, gives the respectful a nod. May I ask your name?
Sanda Arashi.
So we are in need of somebody who has your particular, or who has a particular set of skills. No.
A particular set of skill.
So, Liam Neeson. No. We're in need of somebody who perhaps it might be best to explain the situation. There is an individual who is providing a welcome back.
What did I miss?
His name,
Okay, what was his name?
Sanda Arashi.
Okay.
San.
And you
Arashi.
introduced. You did introduction.
Yep.
There's an individual who is currently providing standing as a significant threat to more or less everything in this vicinity. Is there somewhere perhaps that would be more comfortable that we could speak than here?
He just sort of stands there impassively, looks around, shrugs. Where would you like to speak?
Simply somewhere that is perhaps a touch more private.
He looks around. I was leaving the city without side work. Or would you prefer an inn?
Whichever you would prefer.
He turns and begins walking.
Okay.
Do you all follow?
Yes.
You hear the footsteps of Suzume up on the rooftops following as well.
I was going to say, I do not follow. I sneak off.
Hayato sneaks off.
Yep.
Give me a stealth check.
Okay. 25.
Where are you sneaking off to?
I am headed towards the farm where the people had gone missing.
Which one?
The one where Irie got the horse.
Okay, you're heading there.
Mm-hmm.
That'll take a while.
Okay.
Meanwhile, the other three of you follow Arashi to the outskirts of town, sort of down by the river, where there's plenty of open space to see anyone approaching from miles if they were trying to come.
Okay.
And he just sort of standing. He finds sort of a protruding rock next to the river, and sits on it, cross-legged. The Bicento still over his shoulder, and looking at the rest of you.
So we are dealing with a trying to grab my notes up. Kairi Akudin. Somebody who was once a great hero who has fallen significantly. They are incredibly dangerous, incredibly capable, and he seeks to expel us from this area. As such, we're looking for allies, people who would be up to the task of trying to prevent what he's doing. Might you be interested?
And what is the incentive being offered?
That depends on you.
Then I would make a request.
You can certainly make a request.
If you wish my aid in this task, then I would ask your aid in return.
With?
My clan's destruction was brought about by betrayal. I would request your aid in hunting our traitor.
That is something I believe that we would have an interest. I would absolutely have an interest in helping with.
Then you will have my blade.
Excellent.
He pulls from his bag a large bowl and then stabs the Bicento into the ground, and then from his hip pulls a gourd. He pops the top off of and pours sake into the bowl. And then he hands it out towards you.
Okay. I take it. I do whatever is appropriately required because
So you take it.
whatever fits in this
You drink
particular
it.
universe.
Yeah, you take it, you drink, you hand
Yes.
it back, he takes it, he drinks. And then having finished it off, he puts it back in his bag and puts it back and puts the gourd back on his belt. You know that basically the sharing of sake is it's equivalent to well, it's a very binding, socially at least, oath.
I mean, I assume that was the case. I just didn't want to be. All right, I take it and drink. And somewhere in some L5R book, that is a horrible
We don't know
thing
what the
to do.
fuck is going on in this setting.
Yeah, no. So yeah, you know that it is a very binding oath. It is seen as it's seen as swearing loyalty before the kami.
Got it.
Oh.
Cool.
So you have Sanda Arashi, wielder of the Lightning Bicento, as another one of your hirelings.
Sweet.
He will follow you and do as you ask, providing that upon the defeat of Akujin, you assist him with hunting down the traitor to his clan.
Yes.
We'll consider it.
Absolutely.
Meanwhile, Hayato, across the town.
Yep.
You find yourself at an outlying farm.
Okay. So he's basically just going to try and blend in and be as subtle as possible and look around and just confirm nobody else has gone missing. There are no reports of anybody going missing.
So give me an acting roll.
Okay.
Do you have any emphases in acting?
Mantis Clan.
Yeah,
Probably
so
doesn't apply
that
here.
does not apply here. But 30 is pretty
Okay,
good.
so 30.
All right, and give me a
Investigation?
Yeah, investigation.
12.
All right. It doesn't seem like anybody else has gone missing.
Okay.
Then again, it was yesterday that you destroyed the.
It's got to have been longer.
No, it's been that's because you guys went to the other town. That's right. No, it's been a few days.
Right. We went to the other town. We reported back to Kisakijo.
Yep,
right. Yeah.
Yep. That's right. It's been a few days. Time got away from me. Yeah. No.
You and me both, brother.
It's been It's been a few days. Nothing. Nobody else seems to have gone missing.
Okay. Cool.
Seems like you guys haven't checked back with the magistrate, but it seems like that was the cause of that particular.
Excellent. That was what he wanted to find out, and then he's headed back to town to reconvene with everybody else.
Sorry, I missed the premise of this. Did Hayato sneak off?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Because I had a thing I wanted to do in town if we had a chance, but if it was just the ninja sneaking off, that's different. Sorry.
So assuming that you guys aren't leaving town just yet, Hinata, what did you want to do?
No, Hinata did want to, she'll probably just ask Hosoka first because she's supposed to. I wanted to check in and ensure that those who were injured previously are recovering.
Yes, of course, absolutely. We did. We definitely wanted to check in and see. Anyways, before we left, how the town is doing after that whole unfortunate affair.
Yeah. And I'll head over that way with Hisoka if he's interested.
Yep.
Okay. And Arashi will follow. I don't know if Akane is following too.
I have been trying to solve what's going on with my shit, so I've missed most of what's been going on.
Akane follows.
I'll take Akane with me.
Akane follows until Akane's camera fixes itself. Yeah. So you guys head back to the magistrate's office.
Yep.
You head in, and Arashi says that he'll stay outside for reasons, and you step inside. The chaos that was previously here the last time you guys were here has been cleared out. There aren't anybody. There's no like recovering or resting or anything like that. It seems like at the very least this area is back to normal.
Okay.
I'm going to seek out essentially the first responders, people I might have seen previously, see if I can get a sense as a magical medical professional, let's call it.
Yeah, you find sort of the Shugenja that were here treating people previously.
Yeah.
And so you're just asking how were the patients that were...
Yeah, asking if everyone's all right, if anyone's remembered anything else, making sure there's no one who's still critical or they need extra hands with.
Physically, they have all made a full recovery, though mentally there are many still struggling with the stress and trauma of the day. They've been returned to their homes in the south, in Shinra Nohashi, where they are resting, recovering, dealing with their trauma. No one really seemed comfortable with trying to talk about what happened that day, and we didn't want to press it.
That is quite reasonable. I am glad they have been able to make a physical recovery. Yeah. And I'll just talk specifically about the injuries if I can figure out.
Is there anything you're trying to, in particular, to learn?
No, it's just more of a detached intellectual curiosity. Obviously couched in the caring about what happens to the lesser folk and stuff.
Yeah, it mostly just seemed like it was mostly broken bones from people sort of climbing over each other trying to escape. It doesn't seem like any of the people that ended up here were directly attacked by Akujin. Because the only people that were directly attacked by Akujin are the corpses that were left behind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Well, in that case, I'll meet up with Hisoka whenever he's done talking to the magistrate or whoever else is around. Once I'm done with it.
Hisoka, were you wanting to talk to the magistrate or anybody else?
I was just going to check in and see how things are going on in a more general sense following.
You learned
everything
that
happened. If they need any further assistance.
You learned that they sent people back to that cave to investigate and found it burnt out, just like you guys had left it.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't seem like any recurring instances of people going missing has happened.
Good.
He has yet to find the quite correct way to explain exactly what happened to the families of the lost, but has at the very least been able to explain that they're safe now, that the village itself is safe now, and that the people who have gone missing are lost. He seems very flustered at the fact that he can't quite. It's hard to explain, ma'am, your son was eaten by a bog hag.
Who then wore his skin like a pretty bathrobe.
Like he seems to be having trouble figuring out the best way to break that particular piece of information to people.
Mm-hmm.
But everything else seems to have gone fine.
All right. Would you like some? I will ask him if he would like some help with that aspect of it.
There's no need to trouble yourself with it, sir. It is my duty.
Very well. Yeah. Then I will give him credit for a city fairly well run.
No, thank you.
And I'm done.
And
rejoin everybody else.
A group of you find yourselves back outside. Suzume has apparently gained a perch on the shoulder of Arashi. Just sort of idly sitting there kicking her feet. Akane presumably is outside with them as well.
Probably.
And Hayato has reappeared.
Yes, he has.
Everything.
The village appears to be comparatively undisturbed since our last visit.
Good.
I presume we will turn our steps toward the port.
That is the plan.
Excellent.
How far of a trip is it? And what point of day is it now?
It's still fairly early. You guys woke up. You guys got here. Actually, no. You got here. You got
here about mid-morning, right?
And immediately, yeah. You got here about mid-morning, and then immediately started looking for monk and samurai. So it's probably around a little afternoon now. It's about a day's ride. It's about a day's journey south to Ichizuka no Minato. Well, not south, west.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We can likely make some decent progress. Camp along the road.
Absolutely. Well, if there's nothing else we need, let's head up.
What is the social standing of Arashi at this point?
At this point, he is little more than a Ronin and looks the part still.
Okay.
To your mind, as an infiltrator, you're looking at him and thinking, we should probably get him a different set of robes.
Okay.
Or something.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm also considering my disadvantage of failure of Bushido in terms of how I would view him on the on my complete lack of empathy and compassion.
He is status 0.
Okay.
His status is 0, but if it matters to Hayato, he is someone that Akane seems to acknowledge as good at combat.
Okay. There's effective, and then there's worth my time.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So yeah. Hayato will just start walking down the west road, across the bridge, and headed towards Ichizoku no Minato.
And all of you follow.
No, I turn left and I just wander off into a dark alley by myself.
Sounds good. Get bumped by the mint. All right.
God damn it! Now I need to find a new husband again. This is the 4th freaking time.
No, you all head down. You all head towards the port. As you pass by the section of the woods that you had your encounter with Kaira, you see a logging crew working along the river, not going so far as to go into the forest. Seems they're back to work, but it doesn't seem like they're willing to go into the places where they don't have clear lines of sight to at least half of the area. You notice Arashi as you leave the city and on the road as you are passed by a few bands of people heading north or heading east. You notice Arashi getting dark looks as he goes. It seems like most people assume he is just a worthless Ronin. We'll treat him as such, basically. Occasionally you hear the sound of somebody spitting on the ground next to him as they go by.
Mm-hmm.
He reacts to it all very impassively. Seems like he is used.
As they should and as he should.
And you eventually...
This is the sound of gnashing teeth from Akane.
Yeah. Like, yeah, not happy, but doesn't say anything.
And by the end of the day, as the sun is beginning to go down, you guys find yourself on a hill overlooking the port. The port is a much louder and livelier town than Kawanofutago, as you can tell from the hill east of the town. The lights, even as the sun begins to dip, the lights in the town do not. There are several ships you can see in the port. Some setting sail, some pulling in. And the sounds of a very lively nightlife beginning to pick up are heard echoing from the town.
But it's still probably a good several hours walk in the dark before we would be able to get there, so we're camping here.
That's up to you guys. It's definitely a couple more hours left to go before you get actually to the city proper. But you don't really have to worry about losing your way because you can very clearly see the town. It's like Vegas. You can see it for a while away.
A smaller shoreline version of Vegas.
Yes.
Awesome. Kisaki-sama, do you wish to proceed through the dark or wait and approach in the morning?
I see no reason to wait at this point.
Setting question.
Mhm.
Is checking in in late night allowed, or is that like don't do that because demons?
No, it's allowed.
Okay.
Hayato will adjust his pack and start walking towards the town.
Right. Guys, continue on. The sun goes down and you're still walking for a couple of hours in the dark.
Mhm.
But again, the area is illuminated by the bright lights of the city before you, and the sounds of the city before you, and the smells of the city before you. As you smell Definitely lots of alcohol, food being cooked and being eaten, drunk people,
Garbage.
lots of stuff, and the sea. Well, the lake, really, but you haven't, as a rule, none of you have spent a lot of time here, because it is a mantis town. Like while as so much as it is in Dragon Clan territory, it is mantis run and mantis owned. It is effectively an embassy unto itself for the Mantis clan. And as such, while you're welcome there, you're not necessarily comfortable there. But you enter into the town, and the sounds and smells and sights that greet you. And the sort of first thing you see is a traveler's inn, sort of right along the main road going into town. Currently has a lot of people in it yelling and cheering and drinking, and at least 2 people passed out hanging out of windows.
As you do.
So as pretty much as soon as we hit the town proper, Hayato basically just takes on as many of the mantis mannerisms that he's been observing over the period of the last few weeks and just passes himself off as much of a native as he can.
Give me a acting mantis roll.
Okay. Let's see.
Acting mantis.
34.
So Hayato, whom previously you all have seen being very straight-laced and calm and collected, tips his hat back, loosens up immediately, and starts walking with the bravado of a with all the bravado of an Errol Flynn movie.
I am buckling swashes like nobody's biz.
Akane kind of gives him a sideways look. Oh, sure.
Hinata gives the slightest hint of a smile.
Hisoka is so confused right now.
So are you looking for an inn? Are you going to this inn, or are you looking for a different inn?
Is that me?
Can you- You refresh us on the difference. I know
Yeah,
you just
that's-
Well, I mean, the
Right.
inn that you are seeing right now, you haven't looked at it, you haven't seen any other inns, but the inn that you are right outside of is currently full of people partying very loud, very hearty, and a couple of people that are drunk hanging out of windows.
Hinata will
Perhaps
suggest
another-
that we check around and see
or
what
like post vomiting.
One of them is actively vomiting, one of them is post-vomiting.
Okay, all right.
Another place.
And we're walking.
Hinata will suggest we look around and see what we can find.
I don't think you're going to find something quiet in this town.
Give me investigation checks, all of you.
Hygienic, hopefully.
You could take.
I am
26 from
untrained.
Hayato.
19.
Pretty good for untrained.
Only 25.
24.
Holy shit! Hayato is in his native habitat, apparently.
Well, yeah, basically.
I like that with 2 1s added on, Hinata got a higher roll than Hisoka.
He is
3
not
ones because I
comfortable
dropped
here.
one of the
You
ones.
dropped one of the ones, but with 2 1s in the roll.
Listen, you could take the privileged rich boy out of his castle, but you could not take the privileged rich out of the guy.
I think that is why Hayato is leading.
So, yeah, Hayato, you are blending in perfectly and sort of steering the group of them around. You've lost track of Suzume. You don't know where she's gone, but Arashi is just sort of passively walking behind. Again, just an unfazed wall of meat behind you all. And eventually you find. So the interesting thing about Mantis towns is that the quieter places are typically the red light district, because everywhere else is so high energy and high key. The red light district is where you go for quiet massages and private time, as opposed to the loud screaming. So the inn that you find that is the quietest is the Ruby Traveler, or sorry, the Ruby Sailor, which sort of just has a decorative like ruby sail ship motif to it, that you are pretty certain is right next door to a brothel. And is fairly clean. Nobody's hanging out the windows. There's not a loud party going on inside. There's a loud party going on 3 buildings down. You're pretty certain you passed a block party, but the inn itself is fairly
Block
quiet.
party implies that it's not always a party.
My question is, has Hisoka ever seen a brothel before?
Up to Hisoka.
I mean, I'm gonna say no. Probably not.
It's gonna be interesting.
So as far as Hisoka's
It is
concerned,
socially
oh, good.
acceptable
Also-
for us to
finally
also-
found a
interact with
quiet
sex
place.
workers.
I would counter that block party usually indicates overrated indie rock band. But
There is certainly one of those there.
Rock doesn't exist.
all they called block party.
No, they're called Slaying Mantis for some reason.
That's a magic joke.
It is
That
a
I-
magic joke. That was for you.
I mean, but it works for everybody. So yeah. Sure, this place works.
All right, you go in, you acquire rooms for a couple of zenny. It's actually fairly cheap. You're surprised.
Yeah, you spend the money at the brothel, the 2 doors down.
Yeah.
One door down.
Literally right next door.
Literally right next door.
It is much better for their business to be cheap than to have people that aren't in beds.
So yeah, you find a fairly cheap place to get a couple rooms. They do Hayato. I'm assuming that you're doing the dealing because you're the one most comfortable in the area.
Yep.
They do ask if any of you would want a in-room massage.
He'll look over his shoulder. We'll let you know if that becomes a requirement. But right now, I think we're okay.
Oh my god, it's actually just Jack talking now.
Yes, it is.
Hang on. The hostess nods, and if you wish to see any of our catalogs, please just ask.
We will certainly come by and peruse at our leisure. Thank you so much for your hospitality.
As you all go to your rooms and have conversation, I'm going to go let my dog in. I'll be right back.
Akane just kind of looks around. You know, they do a great service for the crab, but no.
Well, yeah, no, Hayato will turn around and basically be, so yeah, if any of you will require companionship or services of any other nature, the staff here will be quite accommodating.
That will not be a concern.
I feel like Hisoka completely doesn't understand what you're saying. So he's like, no, I believe it'll be fine. And does not stumble and...
he does not fall backwards with blood spurting from his nose.
Yeah. Correct.
Okay, good to know. And yeah, Hayato is going to basically just be like, here's your room, here's your room, here's your room. All right, everybody's settled. We're good. Excellent. I'm going to be upstairs. Bye.
Hinata will. Unless there's anything that needs to be accomplished tonight.
No, I don't believe so.
Well, if either of you will be partaking in the party of the city, I could provide some fortitude against dying of the alcohol.
Oh, I absolutely will
the
not.
alcohol. Okay.
No.
I mean, technically it's poisoned. I don't know how far that extends.
Probably just a poison.
Does not cure VD.
Is there any level of window in Hayato's room?
No. These
Okay.
are discreet private hotel rooms.
All right.
Yeah.
Then Hinata will make her way upstairs, and she's going to actually knock on Hayato's door. Yes, Hayato is correct. Ninja. Oh boy, not the other one.
Yes.
Fuck, what? How do you pronounce your first name? Or your family name?
Nakano.
Nakano.
Nakano-san, if I could come in for a moment.
Of course. Was there something I could help you with, Yase-san?
Like a light switch.
Yes, I had something I was going to ask you about previously, but there's also something else I'd like to bring up. I fully respect that different clans and groups have different expectations and norms, but I would really appreciate it if you not imply that I would be interested in a private massage in front of someone who may or may not be willing to continue to be engaged to me and potentially get married. As he's a little bit of a childish prude and might find that disturbing.
Of course.
Accurate.
I do apologize for any inconvenience that
No, I'm
my
just
role
happy to
inflicted upon you. It is
clear up any misunderstandings about my situation.
absolutely.
I also wanted to, if you are comfortable, inquire about your own. I understand you are also in possession of one of these weapons we will need for defeating this creature.
Yes, I am.
I understand that every group has secrets, and I do not mean to pry, but I suppose the best way to say it is that can we trust that your family and yourself will continue being comfortable leasing your services in this capacity? I must assume you are not of Kisaki-san's family.
Not by birth, but by loyalty and by oath.
I suppose that's good enough.
My duty does not allow me to go into much detail, both to Kisaki Domo and to my family of heritage, but both sides of my origin are completely and stringently devoted to the destruction of our common foe. I am not an individual who currently feels himself torn by any tension or divided loyalties in this manner.
I am glad to hear that. Also, have you had Jade at the time, but have you experienced anything unusual since being attacked by the bog hag?
Yes.
He'll pull out his jade pendant, which I don't honestly think has clouded any further.
No, it has not clouded any further.
Right. I am not a scholarly individual, especially as these matters are concerned, but given that this does not appear to have darkened any further, I do not feel that there is much cause for concern. But I will, of course, allow you to investigate it should we be exposed to anything additional.
Of course.
And
in terms of natural symptoms, your fever seems to have not returned. Your breath haven't experienced any unusual symptoms that you could attribute to more natural forms of contamination, as much as such can be attributed to these creatures.
Not that I am aware of, and I will, of course, tell you as soon as those sort of things, hopefully not, but if they do arise.
It's always good to check up on wounds, even if they were patched quickly.
I will bear this in mind.
Hinata will give a fairly low bow. Head on out.
Which will be returned.
Downstairs, Akane is just like halfway through a glass, just like leaning into a booth, just sitting by herself, basically, unless Arashi decided to sit down as well.
Hayato will close the door behind Hinata and then go and go into his room and lay down.
Arashi is also down in the main room, eating and drinking. He seems to have to eat a lot.
Makes sense.
Just what someone who had stolen the ocean tattoo and put it on themselves would do in that circumstance.
Exactly. But yeah, no, he is eating and drinking quietly. If you would to start if you start a conversation with him, he will respond, but otherwise he will not initiate any sort of conversation.
She's mostly just sticking to herself as she's just sitting in a booth having a drink and a meal.
Mm-hmm. And Hisoka, are you just retiring for the evening, or is there anything else you're doing?
Yes, Hisoka is going to his room. He is distinctly uncomfortable with this entire city, and so it is better for him to be in his room.
Closed door. There's no window. Why is the bed shaped like that?
No window is good.
And
it means no sound and hopefully no smell of vomit.
no, you don't detect any smell right now, vomit right now. Mostly what you smell is lavender. You think they might burn incense inside the inn.
Good.
He doesn't see why.
And
Correct.
correct. And yeah, because I stepped away for a moment, was anybody taking up the offer of an in-room massage?
No.
Very
I
much
briefly
no.
considered him completely misunderstanding what that means for comedic value, but no.
Akane made the comment of, I understand they do good work for the crab, especially with tension, but no.
Aaron's camera appears to have frozen.
Okay, it's not just me then.
No. And there they go.
It wasn't
There you
just
go.
the camera.
Wasn't just the camera. Other things froze too. Anyways, so you all go to sleep. Eventually, in various places and locations and states. And they're back and gone again. And wake up in the morning.
Now it is John's camera that is frozen.
I'm not
Not for
frozen.
mine.
Okay.
Nope.
Then it's just me. I need to put it on.
That's your internet again.
Oh,
Wait.
Yep.
There it goes.
No. So we'll get back together in the morning.
Yes.
yes, we do.
Okay.
Hey,
So-
they're back.
Where are we going today?
That's a good question. I know there's a reason we're here. We've talked at length about why it's here, and it completely escapes me at the moment.
So the weapons that you're looking for, you know that one of them exists in what is current. One of them was lost on the battlefield of what is now a Tortoise Clan castle, which is downriver from you guys. And you know that the 7 blades of Masamune were lost after they were raided by after they were raided from the Imperial capital. And you've been told that the Mantis know how to find them.
Ah,
That's
That's
all.
right.
That's you don't know who of the Mantis knows how to find them. You were just told the Mantis knows how to find them.
But the Tortoise Clan one seems to be, or the Tortoise Clan. It's not one that belonged to the Tortoise Clan. It was one
No,
that
it's the lion.
was-
It's the Akodo blade from
Right.
the Lion Clan. It was lost. Was lost at a battlefield between that was once fought over a land that was once fought over by the Dragon, Phoenix, and Lion. The champion that had it died on the battlefield. That the Tortoise Clan now claim as their castle.
Right. And
So-
that's the, as far as we can tell, geographically closest one to our current location.
That you have an actual location for. Yes.
Right.
So do we go find a bunch of recluses or a bunch of braggarts?
I mean, to be honest, my inclination is towards the recluses. But I am open to suggestions.
If our goal is to acquire weapons, the blades of Masamune would be the strongest that we could find.
Okay.
And I speak no ill will to the Lion Clan, she says, looking at Hinata. But the single Akodo blade, I do not think will turn the tide of this war.
I don't think any one weapon is going to change the tide of this. It is simply which we approach first.
We do have a limit of time, and I think finding 7 blades in one location is more efficient.
Indeed, though it comes with the risk that we spend time on that and get nothing for our trouble. I would generally agree with Akane. With Ren-san.
Very well. All right. Well. Where do we start?
Downriver with the Mantis.
Yes. So let's go.
To the docks, then.
Yeah. Sorry. Let's stand up and then let's walk
So-
out the door
Yeah.
and then walk to the dock.
I was waiting for a location. So you exit the building with the intention to head towards docks. As soon as you get outside, you are struck by the sheer difference of this place from night to day. There is still the vague smell of vomit and alcohol in the air that the incense from inside the inn does not cover. But it's not loud and like raucous. It's in fact you see people moving about, going about their day, working.
How many of them look hungover?
Several of them, but they're still working. It seems like this is a work hard, party hard city more than just a party hard city. And yeah, there are people like you guys are near the dock, so you take a couple hours and you see dock hands loading up supplies, packing up crates, shipping them off onto a vessel, getting them ready to move. And you see a cart full of logs coming in from the logging town across the river. That's being loaded up onto ships or being sent over to a lumber yard where it's being cut up and prepared for repairs. Everyone seems to have a purpose that they are attending to with full attention and full energy, the same amount of energy that they partook to partying with.
Good for them.
Oh, you're on the docks. Who are you looking to talk to, or what are you looking for?
I'm looking for a ship that can take us downriver or upriver. I don't know which way is towards the Mantis.
I'm looking for whatever I should be looking for because I'm a little unclear on that. So,
as am I. That's why I'm asking.
we're supposed to be looking for the Mantis, right?
They are all around you.
Yes.
Well, specifically, we were told that it was in Mantis land, and
No, you were told that the Mantis know how to find it.
no, specifically. Yeah.
I failed to get an actual direction or location because
that's
spirit
not how spirits work.
If
bullshit information.
If any mantis would know, it would be significant mantis leaders or historians, and I don't know that we'll find many of those here.
Okay.
Make a lore.
He's actually going to look at Izuku's going to look at Hayato. And you seem to be most comfortable and familiar in this environment. Thoughts?
You're asking me for a lore roll?
Yeah, anyone who wants to can make a lore roll, lore clans, if they have it.
That'll be untrained for me.
Lore clans?
Yeah,
7.
Or just an untrained lore roll.
Untrained lore. I mean, with some optimism, no.
33. Apparently, I know shit around here.
Like I said.
So Hayato, you know that as Akane voices this information, you know that the leaders of the Mantis tend to be captains of their ship. They are a island-based clan, and they are a sea-based clan, and as such, basically, what you would consider the equivalent of a daimyo tends to be the captain of a ship. And each ship is almost a clan of its own.
Kiseki-san, if we are to find those closest, we should seek audiences with specific captains, depending on which ships are docked at various berths. I believe an individual of your standing will be more likely to be in a position to speak to whoever these certain captains might be.
So John, we'd established that I've basically been with all of the major clans at some point.
Mhm.
I don't know if there's any chance I'd have not necessarily contacts, but someone who might remember me or memory of what would be the best way to approach fantasy people from my own experience.
Give me
Nothing secret, obviously.
Yeah, nothing secret. Give me a courtier
I was
roll.
thinking, yeah, courtier.
Give me a courtier roll.
9. Never mind.
You
Sorry.
weren't with them long enough. That's the big deal, especially with the Lion Clan and the Mantis Clan don't really get along. So for whatever amount of time you spent with them, you weren't really welcome and you weren't really interested.
It's also possible I was like 4 at the time.
Yeah,
so.
you were also probably pretty young. So nothing that you can think.
They stopped sending me on the riskier ones after I started being a Shigenja. Because then it was useful.
So
ships.
Yes,
Ship
we
captain.
should try and find a captain to speak to. They might know the legend or location the Mantis know, or they might know who would know.
All right.
Very well.
So there are a couple of different kinds of ships at the docks. What you can tell, there are at least two supply ships. There is one that appears to be a warship, and one that appears to be just a sort of a luxury yacht isn't quite the correct phrase, but that feel of a ship.
It's a cruise ship.
Yeah. So those are the ships that are sort of here right now. If one of those sort of grabs your eye, but more than the others.
Okay. I'm going to be honest. The only thing I heard was cruise ship. So I guess we're going there.
Well, I mean, so there were two supply ships, a warship, and then what effectively would be a cruise ship, sort of a personnel transport, but not like military personnel.
If there's no obvious like other people speaking up immediately, Hinata will voice that a cruise ship might be a good place to start because it might be more people who are diplomats and could get us in contact with the right people.
Sure.
That said, a warship might be more likely to have a captain who knows legends about weapons.
Let's start with the warship. Go to the cruise ship.
Okay. So you guys head over to the warship. Which is affectionately known as Jigoku no Yari, which translates to the Lance of Hell. And yeah, the boarding plank is down. There are a couple of Mantis Clan sailors sort of sitting around the plank, just sort of shooting shit as you approach.
Okay. I make appropriate
Do you walk up and just talk? Like, are you?
I don't. Somebody take control. Something is distracting.
Hayato, take lead.
Okay.
I apologize.
Okay.
Or Akane.
I've been traveling for a while, like even before being hostage to the dragons. Do I know how to typically greet Mantis?
Same as any other interclan greeting. Hello. Greetings, bow, and then what you want.
And I kind of look at the other two, and these are soldiers. If you want me to take the lead,
Sure.
all right. I kind of approach. Greetings, warriors of the Mantis, and I do the bow.
They return it. You see one of them sort of sharpening a stick to look like to make arrows. How can we help you?
We're looking to have an audience with the captain to potentially get some knowledge that the Mantis may know on tools to assist the lord of this land with potential threats.
He sort of like you'd see he's got his bottom lip bit like he's thinking, and as he's cutting this stem. Well, we can get him for you. No guarantees he's gonna tell you his deepest, darkest secrets, but he looks over and whistles at the other man on the plank, who gets up and heads up onto the ship. Leans back, looks at the group of you, points at them. Who are they?
Sorry, was looking at the rest of the group.
He's looking at the rest of you, but talking to you, just like pointing at the rest of them.
These are my companions. The son of the what's actually is Kisaki So's title? Is he daimyo or
daimyo? Yeah.
Yeah. The son of the daimyo is Kisaki Hisoka. Our the bodyguard Nakano Hayato. Is it actually fiance? Is the appropriate term?
Betrothed, yeah.
His betrothed Yase Hinata, and I am Renakane of the Crab Clan.
Well, looks up. You hear another sharp whistle. Captain will be down in a minute.
Thank you.
And after a few moments, you see coming down the ramp a man wearing very loose-fitting, sort of bluish teal trousers that look sort of torn and tattered at the bottom, who appears to be missing his right leg, as there is just a wooden peg leg there instead. Wearing sort of a long open kimono that shows that he's not really wearing a shirt underneath it. Tan skin with the sort of the sleeves of the kimono torn off, and a very elaborate sort of heron tattoo going down his shoulder. As he sort of stumps down the ramp. No apparent weapons on him at the moment. Gets to the bottom. Well, I hear somebody wishes to speak with me. Who might it be?
Ren kind of coughs and clears her throat of the morning voice for a minute. That would be the group of us.
Well, Moshi Masahiko at your service, captain of the Ingoku no Yari. How might I help you?
I'm Renakane of the Crab Clan, and these I go over the introduction again.
Again, Hinata will bow when she's introduced.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, at the moment I'm the one speaking, so I will be very straightforward, as is my nature. We are in danger. This land is threatened by forces external, and assistance is required. And so With some guidance, we had learned that the Mantis may know the location of some valuable weapons that have been lost for some time, and you, as a seasoned warrior, may have heard these legends of the Blades of Masamune, that you might assist us in finding their location.
It looks at you, looks across the rest of you. Oh, wow, you really don't hold anything back, do you?
I do not.
Right. The soldier to his right gets up and sort of whispers something in his ear. Well, see what harm there is talking. Come on up on the ship. And he turns around and stumps back up the ship. Surprisingly agile for someone with one leg.
I follow.
Hinata's just like applauding the Shugenja who managed to have him not die of amputation. Because peg legs were not a thing for a very good reason.
You guys get up onto the ship. He sort of leads you across the ship into what apparently is his cabin. And he will sort of move over, sit down in a chair, in a very ornate chair behind what is obviously his desk. Sit down and pop off this wooden leg that apparently he was sitting in, put it on the table. And you can see now from this end, it's sort of got a cup that apparently like the knee portion of his leg sits in. He sort of sets it there. So, how exactly did you all hear about the 7 Blades of Masamune?
From my understanding, I say, looking over at Hinata, an inquiry was made to the kami, and it believed that these blades would be of value in assisting us.
Yeah. And Hinata will nod and step forward. Yes, we were searching for sacred weapons, I believe. Sacred weapons, knowing that they might be our only hope against a particular threat of the shadow, whatever. So we researched further. We were able to determine that local spirits to an area nearby had some information, were connected to their construction. So we inquired of those spirits. I'm really sorry. Is someone doing something in the background?
Not on our end.
Okay.
I heard something, but I don't know what the hell it was.
It sounded like somebody picking something up and moving it. I'm not sure who it was.
Sounds like someone was engaging in box stacking.
Oh, William, did you just pull that food out of something?
No.
Sorry.
Like, I have an open bag in front of me, but I'm not moving it.
It was probably the bag we heard. That's why.
Okay.
It's fine. I got distracted. My bad. So we inquired of those spirits. They... Correct me if I'm remembering the wrong thing, because it's confusing.
So far,
But they indicated that this spirit and this energy could be found. What's the best term? Could be found somewhere beneath the waves, and that the mantis, being the insert appropriate term here of the sea, travelers, commanders,
masters,
purveyors, masters, something that sounds appropriately over complimentary, but not overstepping and implying that they are themselves kami. Might be able to assist us in finding such artifacts. It's to assist both the land and ultimately, by reclaiming such powerful weapons, assist us all.
He sort of reaches out, grabs a mug, takes a drink out of it, puts it back.
I don't think I even get a courtier roll, do I?
You can.
Or is persuasion courtier, or is it something else? Oh wait, it's sincerity, isn't it?
Yeah, it's sincerity.
It's sincerity, or there's one other that it could
You can
conceivably
make a sincerity
be.
roll if you want.
I think courtier was the social offense, and sincerity is the sort of social utility. So
No, etiquette is the offense. Courtier is the defense. Sincerity is the subterfuge, but not quite.
It's both lying and being honest.
Yes. Because Eastern culture.
So is etiquette or sincerity what the GM would prefer me to roll? Because
Sincerity.
I have a preference. Okay,
Sincerity.
13.
He looks at you. I mean, a skin off my nose. We're not the ones that have it, so sure, why not? He sort of sits there and thinks for a minute, like he's trying to recall information. And, well, as I recall, couple generations back, there was a bit of trouble around the Imperial capital, which, well, resulted in some folks making off with some priceless artifacts in a ship. It wasn't ours, but one of the other minor clans that likes to lay claim to seafaring skill. And accordingly, with our treaty with the Imperial Navy, with the Imperial forces, we sank their ship. Now, the tricky part is they had managed to get almost out to sea with it before we sank him. Pretty certain the currents probably drifted them around. We never really found the exact wreckage, but we didn't look too terribly hard. Now, we could probably go looking for him, but it would require an amount of payment on part of whoever was asking us to look for it.
I look over my shoulder at Hisoka, sort of waiting for the okay. Do I?
Yeah, he's considering momentarily. What would your price be?
Well, from what I understand, there's quite a bit at stake here, if I'm hearing correctly. And these are some very, very expensive and valuable weapons that we're looking for. So, Koku per man?
How many? How many men is that?
Well, we got a crew of about 30. But maybe you could offer me a better deal.
This isn't.
Yes, Aaron?
No, I interrupted. Jeremy?
No, you're good.
Another question that is mostly for the GM because I don't setting. So if we potentially like got the blades for the thing, would we then be able? Basically, would it be appropriate or okay or make sense to offer? Hey, we want to use the blades to get rid of this thing, but then you could have some fancy swords.
Yeah.
Probably not, but
Not really.
okay.
For a variety of reasons.
Okay. You don't need to go into
Yeah.
it. Just
There's a variety of reasons as to why that wouldn't necessarily be the best tactic. Feel free to give a counteroffer if you have something else that you think is worth the time and expense that it will require for us to retrieve these legendary artifacts for you.
Well, with complete respect, I recognize that this will be an undertaking, and that these are not insignificant items and deserve something. Retrieve them deserves commensurate reward. That said, I don't feel that even compensation aside, I think it is fair to argue that doing so, participating in their retrieval, is not a purely selfless act, as the reason we need to retrieve them could potentially affect you too, and your livelihoods and your lives. Therefore, I think that you have I would argue that you have a
vested interest.
A personal investment in helping retrieve these in the first place that benefit offsets the purely financial reward reasons. To a certain degree, and I don't know how much my family is worth and how much they could afford to spend and what would be appropriate on a place like this. Help me out, DM.
So 30 koku, while a lot, is not something your family couldn't afford.
But fuck that shit.
It's still a lot. It's 30 years worth of rice.
Right. Fuck that shit.
You sort of recognize this as the opening bid, basically. That's what he's doing. Of course.
Yes, it was, which I am countering.
Yeah.
I just don't know what number to throw out.
So give me a what is the politics bartering roll? Give me a courtier roll.
Okay.
That'll be it. It'll be a courtier roll.
I are good with that. 20.
There is.
So 30 years is a lot of rice.
Yeah, it is.
But you start thinking about what your family has access to in materials that might be of equivalent costs. And you're thinking that, well, we've got a lot of trees and a lot of actual food.
And lumber is used for making ships.
And
It's
lumber,
also a budgetary thing because
yeah.
these are not the only people that we're probably going to be paying to do shit in the retrieval of these weapons.
I know it's true. Actually, yeah, that's true. Do you have any skill in commerce?
I'm gonna guess
Probably
no, because I don't think. Yes, no, I have
Okay.
no skill.
Ye-
I have
Yeah.
a couple combat skills and then nothing outside of high skills.
I assume that one is more of a political money type of thing, anyways. But
Yeah, so you don't necessarily know the exact like koku to tree ratio. But you figure that an appropriate counter offer to at least begin bidding would probably be say a third of what he's asking, 10 koku, which is still quite a bit of rice.
Mhm.
And an amount of lumber. Either like your first instinct is, you know, enough lumber to keep your ship in good shape for a year, or something equivalent to that.
Okay.
So that's your immediate
At
thought.
the end of that whole thing, yeah.
So give me okay. So here's I have so. Do you want me to let you roll a sincerity check, or do you want to let the bargain play out?
Could I make an argument for etiquette courtesy? Because I have an emphasis in courtesy.
True. In this particular point, though, you're trying to bargain and persuade, so it's not
Okay.
as much etiquette as it is your ability to be convincing.
I will go ahead and take my chances on the roll because that's actually a somewhat decent roll for me.
I mean,
Right.
there's courtier manipulation.
Yeah, but this is we're no longer we're not in a political space here. We're in a
That's fair.
marketing space.
Also, I am not a manipulator. Can't lie, flaw.
That's fair.
27.
37. That certainly is a fair enough offer. Throw in a couple barrels of sake and we have a deal.
Give me
Doable.
2 casks of ale and we're good.
Yeah, that is acceptable.
He, for the second time in as many days, you have a bowl of sake placed before you.
Probably the second time he's ever had sake.
You drink, he drinks, the deal is sealed. Mm-hmm. Well, we can set out today. Would you like to accompany us, or do you want us to report back to you?
I look
I
over
think
my
we should
shoulder.
go.
Yeah. So I just kind of look at Hisoka. The obvious trade-off here is if we're on this ship, we get to see this job done ourselves. But if we're not, we might be able to pursue other avenues of gaining allies. I honestly have no lean either way.
I think we should go.
She nods.
Very well. It looks like Hinata's trying to say something. Are you trying to say something, Hinata?
no, she wouldn't say anything. She's
Very well. Well, if you're on my ship, you abide by my rules. So, rule number 1, what the captain says goes. Rule number 2, pull your weight. I would suggest you pack whatever you want for a week's long voyage. We'll be
Of course.
leaving in sort of looks over his shoulder at the window behind him. So it looks out on the water. You got 3 hours.
How much of my week's rations have I burnt through already?
1, 2.
Considering how many days you've
4.
actually had food from some other source.
Probably about 3 days worth.
So I'll replenish those 3 days.
All right. So yeah, you guys have a couple hours to go into town and buy anything you think you might need for a week's journey on a ship.
How much is 3 days of rations?
It's only listed as a week, I believe.
What's a week of rations priced at?
It's like
Rations.
a boo, I think. A boo. There you go.
Traveling rations.
I will get a message sent off.
Oh, five zenny per meal actually is traveling rations.
Yeah.
Are we assuming 2 meals a day, I think?
2 or 3, whatever you want. However much you want to spend.
All right, I'll spend 2 boo just to make sure I have enough food, plus a little bit.
I'll get 10, so 50 zenny.
And Hisoka, I assume you're having Hayato send a message off to your father?
Yes. Full
Hayato
update.
will definitely do this.
Full update. Anything specific you want to tell him?
I mean, how much money he owes people now.
Also, I've got a Ronin now.
Yeah, like it is just like the last one, full leaving nothing out report.
Okay.
Perhaps overly detailed.
Okay. Yeah, and Hayato, you very quickly find your port contacts that send a bird off to your lord, and you all buy your food. Hayato, are you getting anything in town before leaving?
Hayato is going to be looking around and trying to figure out exactly how in over our heads we are. Because, I mean, he's mostly been just sitting and listening as these sort of negotiations are taking place and realizing exactly, sort of the scope of what it is that we're trying to deal with. So, but as far as personal supplies and things, he's going to be just going with what he has on hand at the moment. I don't think he's adding anything to his own collection at this point now.
Okay. So, anything else you guys are doing in the 3 hours before you leave on the ship?
If we have everything we need in order to make sure that our various individuals and things are all accomplished and accounted for, I think Hayato is pretty much just bringing along what he has. So.
Okay. Hisoka?
Nope, I'm good.
Hinata buying food, anything else?
If we still have our rooms when we're closing them down and stuff, Hinata will spend some time just playing some music in her room and head on out.
All right. Akane?
Akane mostly just grabs her shit, gets a couple extra days of food, so she has a total of 9 days rations, and makes her way back to the ship. She's very straightforward.
All right. So, after a few hours, the crew of the ship get together and prepare to weigh anchor and set off. And as the ship takes off down the river away from the lake, we're going to take a quick break. We're back in just a couple minutes.
I feel awful because everyone who's watching is just like, what is so funny?
Welcome back. So, the ship sets sail. The sails are open up. The ship goes down. The begins heading down the river, and you all have been given various assignments.
Weigh anchor.
Because if you're on the ship, you're gonna help out because you pull weight.
Presumably, I'm holding ropes.
Yes,
Because I have that physical strength.
Akane, you and Arashi are basically tethering the sails. You've been assigned. The two of you have been assigned the big heavy lifting duty because you are the big heavy lifting people.
I think the two of us are probably stronger than most of the mantis on this ship.
No, there are many very strong boatswains and deckhands on this ship.
I'm so excited for how useless Hisoka is going to be on this trip.
It is their job. Suzume has apparently found herself sitting in the crow's nest because she can get up there very quickly and easily.
And does she have good perception?
Yeah, she does. Hinata, you have been basically assigned to just keeping an eye on the food stores, making sure nothing goes bad or gangrenous, and if it does, throwing it out. Hayato, you've been assigned to swab the deck.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
Attention to
I'm
detail.
down with it.
And Hisoka, you're basically sort of standing up by the captain who is at the wheel. And you haven't really been given a job.
Okay.
Because as it turns out, you're the son of a
Yes.
daimyo.
And would be functionally useless on this ship at anything that he did. So it is better that he
Hisoka is very
head
good at
captain.
seeing things and not lying about what he sees.
This is true.
So, Hisoka, while the ship is sailing down the river, the captain has been sort of chatting you up, basically asking for details about what's going on, why you guys need these swords. You must need them pretty badly to pay the price you paid. So what's the deal? How much, if any, do you tell him?
I mean, he can't lie.
This is true,
There
but
is a
he
difference between
can
lying and not
still.
saying.
He can still omit. Yes.
I feel like this should be a. Would this be like a courtier role, maybe, to know what not how much not to say?
Yeah.
Probably etiquette, I think.
Yeah.
Well, etiquette is more offensive.
Yeah, it'd be a
Courtier
courtier.
is more
It would be a courtier role.
Okay.
Courtier
46.
Courtier is knowing how. Courtier is knowing
Christ.
how. So the difference between etiquette and courtier, just sort of in practical terms, courtier is knowing how to answer a question without answering a question. Etiquette is knowing how to ask the right question. So yeah, you tell him as little as you want,
Okay.
but making it sound like you're telling him everything.
Yes. Which is basically I'm going to essentially explain how, and if this is too much manipulativeness, call me out on it. But essentially explain that there is can't go into the details, unfortunately, quite yet, because we need to know more before. Certainly, more information would be forthcoming should it be, at the point that it becomes necessary. However, basically expressing that there is currently a threat that we need we need potential weapons, we need allies, etc. Essentially making sort of explain as much as I feel that he needs to know. Also kind of trying to make an overture in terms of trying to get, obviously they are a potential valuable resource. Get them on board.
Yeah. So no, that's not too manipulative. You're telling the truth, just not all of it.
Okay.
Um, you definitely get a sense that he gets that you're not telling him everything, which is obvious because you said you weren't telling him everything.
Yes.
But he definitely gets that there's more to what you're saying than what you've said, and doesn't press it.
Okay.
He does, however, basically indicate that your assignment is going to be keeping an eye on the deckhands while he steers, and
I am.
making sure, in particular, your people don't slack off.
Okay. I'm the snitch, guys.
Like I said, it actually ends up being kind of perfect for you.
I'm the tattletale.
So, the ship moves actually at a pretty good clip. It's not a big ship like the supply ships are. It's fairly light, and with only a crew of 30, plus you guys, there's not actually a whole lot of weight there. Most of the weight is in the food stores. It seems like everybody on this ship is an archer of some kind, and there are a lot of arrows. At every station, the ship is about 100 feet long. No, less than that. The ship's about 50. And sort of every 5 feet along the rails, there is a bound arrow quiver. That's just sitting there with like a bow attached to it. It seems like when they go to battle positions, the archers on the ship each go to a position, grab bow, grab quiver, and start firing.
Right.
There are also unlit torches near them, just in case they need to be firing flaming arrows. So you get the sense just while none of you are sailors and none of you have ever really worked on a ship before, you're sort of being instructed, you're learning as you go. You get the sense that the purpose of this ship is anti-ship like this is an anti-naval vessel. They basically, if they see a vessel that needs to go away, they light it the fuck on fire.
Yeah.
And sail away. Over the course of the next 3 days, you guys will make your way out to the coast, which takes you in sort of a circuitous route because the river goes sort of inland and then curves and then comes back out. So it takes about a day to get to that curve and then about 2 days to get back out to the coast. So you got 3 days on the ship. Aside from doing your duty, is there anything that any of you want to do on the ship?
If anybody's making arrows, I want to try and learn how to make arrows off of them.
Okay, Hisoka?
Let's see, how else can I alienate myself further from the crew? No, I think he's just going to be very observant of the captain. Different leadership styles are of interest to him, and learning how the other side does it.
Okay, Hinata?
I don't necessarily. You said this is kind of a military vessel. If there's anyone else who's not necessarily same position as Hinata, but similarly Shugenja, non-combat people, someone's wife, whatever, husband.
Okay. And
Just sort of falling in very comfortably with that group, probably.
Okay.
Would be her.
Akane?
Akane is mostly either sticking to her work or watching the ocean. It's very interesting to be on a surface that rocks, not because it's being attacked constantly, but because that's just the way the water works.
Okay. So, Hisoka, give me an investigation roll. Hayato, give me a Hayato, give me a. I'm gonna call it a battle roll. Actually, no, a craft roll. Sorry, a craft roll.
After all.
Hinata, give me an etiquette roll, and Akane, give me a athletics.
Stand there roll.
An athletics roll.
Athletics is in, yes, 21.
Craft roll 26.
Hinata's etiquette roll is an 8. So starting with Hisoka. So the first thing you notice is that he is. The captain is a lot more of a take charge kind of guy than you are. Like not so much in the being in charge part, but the actively seeking out the things that he needs to do and proactive as opposed to reactive. He will call out across the ship at people, barking orders, barking commands. He'll occasionally lash the wheel and go out amongst them himself and do work with his hands, work side by side with his men. There seems to be a level of a level of sort of innate trust between him and his crew, that they know if he says something, there's a reason he says it, and they don't question it. They don't argue. They just do. And if it ends up being wrong, which it hasn't yet, then they deal with it when it comes. This is definitely a crew of people that have worked together for a while, and have built up that trust. Hayato, you make about 10 arrows with the arrow stock, with this sort of the stock that they're just sort of sitting there with the arrow makers in your off time, and just and you they make arrows very quickly, and you're sort of like picking it up. You're nowhere near as quick or efficient as they are, but you do manage to make 10 like sort of arrows for yourself on the first day.
Cool.
So sort of learning at how they do it. They like cut the shaft cut the shaft, mount the arrowhead, feather it, throw it off to one side. Cut the shaft, mount the arrowhead, feather it, throw it off to one side. Like the confident motions of somebody who's been doing this for years and doesn't even think about it anymore. And so it's hard to follow because you're like, wait.
Yeah. How did you fletch that?
boom, 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 toss. But you do eventually catch a little bit on.
Okay.
Cool. Hinata, or Akane is next. Akane, yeah, you're good. You pull the rope when you're told to, let it go when you're told not to. You're very good at following directions, and it seems like Arashi is doing much the same thing.
When I want to.
And Hinata, so everybody on the ship works. There are no civilians or non-working parts of the thing. You do learn that the captain is a Shugenja. It seems that the Shugenja family of the Mantis, or at least the school of Shugenja of the Mantis, is the Moshi family. He seems to be the only Moshi on board. You're not certain. He also seems to be the only Shugenja on board. As you talk with some of the other crew members, it seems like he healed his own leg when he lost it. And specifically, he lost it to a shark.
It's incredibly impressive. Do I know what a shark is?
Yes.
That's
Big fish,
even
shark
more
teeth.
impressive.
Yeah, it seems like he lost. You get a sense just from talking to people that it seems like this is not the first treasure dive this ship has gone on, because as a war vessel, when they're not at war, they're pretty much left to their own devices. So oftentimes they'll go diving through wrecks, and it was
Salvage.
yeah, it was while salvaging one particularly large wreck off the coast. He sort of got separated from the rest of the divers and got attacked by a shark that took his leg. He killed the shark and then had to heal himself and get back to the ship by himself. The sailors respect him quite a lot for a variety of reasons, and that only served to help.
Yeah. Well, without ever being obtrusive, just sort of in the polite, like, social conversation-y stuff, Hinata will make it clear that her skill set involves healing in case he needs someone to do that sort of, basically, like, as part of pulling her weight. Like,
yeah, and
this is what I am useful for.
Yeah, and you get the sense that that's probably why you ended up with the food section, because like healing magic is useful for detecting rotten food and getting it away, and if anybody gets sick, then you can help.
And also, I'm good at sensing corruption and shit.
Yeah, corrupt food is not good food. Remember, kids, if
This orange is tainted with the Shadowlands.
If your
Actually,
food is tainted with the Shadowlands taint.
The food that has Shadowlands taint is meat that isn't fish.
It's true. The fish
Jeremy,
do not tend to have
You're muted,
Shadowlands
Jeremy.
taint.
Sorry.
That's because theirs is all taken up with the heavy metals.
If your food is tainted with Shadowlands corruption, find the portal back to the real world, first of all.
How do you know the Shadowlands don't exist in the real world, Jeremy?
Well, okay. If you find your food tainted
Well, we
with
thought they
Shadowlands
did, but then Alabama actually elected Doug Jones instead of Roy Moore.
I was gonna say, if you find your food tainted with Shadowlands corruption, then the world of darkness is finally here. And look out for specters, folks, because those guys are fucked up.
Make some friends with werewolves.
Wraith jokes are the best. Even if Wraith game is the worst.
Okay. All right. Yeah, so over the course of the first day, you guys sort of learned this various things. On the second and third day, is there anything extra, with the information you have now, is there anything extra you guys are trying to do over the second and third days?
I mean, Hisoka's mostly just thinking, well, clearly my people trust me fine too, because I don't get a lot of feedback, so I must be doing a great job in his completely oblivious way. So no, not really. He's just going to keep doing the same old.
Hinata actually probably falls into sort of a pattern of this is what's expected of me here remarkably quickly. Like, no issue, just, okay, they want me to make sure food doesn't get bad. Can do.
All right. Ayato?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Nope. Just keeping with his normal.
Making more arrows?
Yep. Make more arrows. Swab that deck.
Another craft roll.
Okay.
And Akane?
Nope. She's basically got her job and she's sticking to it because
All right.
the only other person on this ship who even remotely gets her is someone who is also just sticking to his own shit.
It's true. All right, so give me one more craft roll for the third day. Hayato.
16 on the craft roll.
Give me one more craft roll. Third day.
Okay. And one more. 15 on that one.
All right. And so, in addition to making another 10 arrows over the course of the next 2 days, you also sort of get an idea of how they've sort of started doing this. And as such, you get a free emphasis in crafting arrows.
Nice.
As you learn how to craft arrows from the mantis archers.
Awesome.
So while you are still generally not untrained in it, you do have an emphasis. So you can make an emphasis roll specifically when making arrows.
Cool.
All right. And on the eve of the third day, the river opens up into a vast ocean. This is the first time any of you have ever seen the ocean. You've most of the interactions that any of you have ever had with the mantis have been on the rivers or on lakes. So the first time you see sort of the horizon open up and nothing but water ahead of you, it's kind of terrifying. Because mostly the first thing you think of is what happens if we go beyond that, and then we can't see the land anymore. But the ship does immediately curve north as it gets off, and so the ocean is off to one side, land off to the other. And you just have this weird feeling of, wow, that is a new experience. That is a genuinely new experience that I've never had before, of looking out at the ocean.
It's slightly disorienting.
Not that we'll just sort of give it this empty stare. She'll continue doing her job, obviously, but just no, not. It might be a terrifying thing and a terrifying concept, but it's more of like oh, that's like what I am. Entirely nothing.
Hayato, who is still pretending to be a mantis, passes it off as if nothing had... I have seen this before.
While internally screaming.
On the inside, he's a little...
Whereas Akane looking out at it, the only thing she compares it to things that she knows. The only thing she can really compare it to is standing on the wall and looking at the Shadowlands. And in her opinion, this is a lot better sight.
It's fair. That is fair. You haven't seen a shark yet. What about Hisoka? How's he feeling?
I mean, that may not be entirely wrong. But it's curious more than anything else. I feel like there's like just about every session there's something like, well, I've never seen that before. So it's not like he's used to this feeling by now, so it's not quite as uncomfortable as it might otherwise be.
Yep. So as you guys sail, you notice that the captain, Masahiko, has put seals on the wheel. Like the same kind of seals that you've seen Hinata drawing out. He just sort of placed them, place them right. And
God damn it.
so as he's done this and been muttering to himself, you notice now that the wheel is turning itself as he sort of steps back and just crosses his arms.
The mantis have invented autopilot.
Magic autopilot.
That's what you notice, Hisoka, since you're up there with him.
That's curious.
Hayato doesn't notice anything. Otherwise, he would be like, okay, yep, mantis are weird.
Hayato is swapping the deck.
Yep.
Do you say that out loud, Hisoka?
He's just gonna. Let me ask a curiosity question. He gestures towards the. God damn it! The word is escaping me.
Wheel.
The wheel?
The helm?
Well, the helm. I was trying not to say the steering wheel because that indicates that I am an idiot who knows nothing about ships.
It is technically a wheel that steers the ship.
Yes, but that's not what it's called.
The helm.
Yes.
The
But
helm,
when it's a
yes.
ship, everything is called a different thing.
If you call it a steering wheel, people with any kind of sailing experience look at you like you're an idiot. The helm is I'm curious. Does it now know where to go, or is it just going straight from here for until you determine otherwise?
Well, this is a particularly old Moshi rite. We beseech the spirit of the ocean to guide us on our path.
Mm-hmm.
The ocean is taking us where we want to go.
Interesting. Does the ocean ever decide you shouldn't go there? Maybe I want to take you somewhere else?
Well,
And it's said it is said in a very, very
Yeah.
legitimate way. He's not like making a joke out of it. Well, that, despite how it could be interpreted.
only if you ask it wrong.
That's fair.
The ocean, water spirits can be energetic. But we've known each other for a long time.
Good to know.
And ship steering. And he just sort of like leaves the wheel. The ship will stop when we get to our destination, so you don't have to stay up there if you don't want.
I rather like the vantage point here.
Suit yourself, and he heads inside. Hayato and Akane and Hinata, you eventually do see the captain walking towards his chambers. The ship's still moving.
I don't know how ships work. For all I know, that's on purpose.
Right, yeah. I was gonna
That's
say,
it.
as far as if nobody else is reacting poorly, Hayato's just gonna stay the course.
He put a brick on the ship's gas pedal.
Oh, very good. And,
So-
and has the steering wheel lock on.
Yes.
Yeah. Then you
He
just...
probably walks right by Hinata if Hinata's like in
Oh, yeah.
between in terms of geography, but Hinata probably doesn't actually register it. She's kind of entranced right now.
So Hinata does not do the Patrick Stewart quadruple take.
Alright. So, after a few hours, you notice, those of you that are on deck, notice the land starting to peel away. Like the ship is drifting out more towards sea and less towards land. And eventually, the land is behind the ship.
Into the waterlands.
He's just enjoying the view
And
until like he eventually gets sick.
Enjoying the view might not be the best term, but Hinata is certainly watching.
experiencing the view.
Yeah.
After a while, you realize that land has become very small behind the ship. Still visible, but barely. By the time the ship comes to a halt.
Yeah, Akane is adjusting faster than one might expect to being on a boat because, as I mentioned, unstable land that bucks and heaves is not uncommon in the Shadowlands.
No, it's not. And none of you are feeling too particularly sick, so... Unless you want to be, in which case, feel free.
Vomit to your heart's content.
To your heart's content. Well,
Wow.
your acid reflux is content at the very least. And as the ship comes to a halt, one of the boatswains go over and pulls a peg and drops the anchor. And eventually the captain gets out on deck. All right, boys. Well, it seems like we've reached our destination, or at least the destination the ocean wants us to get to. So who wants to go for a swim? He says, looking at Hayato and Hisoka and Akane.
I look over the edge of the water and just kind of look down
I'd say,
into
or
it.
sort of roll his shoulders a little bit. What's the worst that could happen?
The captain stomps his peg leg.
Drowning? Drowning could happen.
Akane just kind of looks down at the water for a
Now
minute,
you're just being bleak.
and
Am I?
with a little bit of common sense, pulls the machete off of her back and sets it aside.
You see a couple of other mantis, both men and women, basically stripping down to just pants, and grabbing
And as
spears
people
off
start
the rock.
stripping, Hinata finally noticed that we've stopped. Oh.
Hayato will shrug off the Ashigaru. He'll keep his wakizashi. The rest of his stuff is very well stowed and secured. And kind of just try and copy whatever everybody else is doing as far as girding themselves.
So yeah, the all of them, they basically just drop down to underwear for lack the fundoshi, for lack of a better term. And they all grab spears off of a rack that's over by one of the rails. The captain tosses you anyone that looks like they're going to be going in the water, tosses them a spear as well. Just a little, basically a harpoon, for lack of a better term. Which what you will be for purposes of attacking, it will actually be spears will be the skill used.
Oh, good.
What's the damage and keep on a spear?
These particular harpoons are. Pull up the thing. Also, William, your mic is doing weird things.
Is it not doing weird things now?
Not right now, no. But a second ago, it blared really super loud.
Yep.
I don't.
So the damage on these are 2 keep 2.
Okay.
They can also be thrown underwater. These are designed to be thrown underwater to maximum range of 30 feet. And have DR 1 keep 2 when thrown.
Okay.
Right? And Captain sort of steps up to the rail, sits on it, and kicks off his prosthetic leg, leaving it on the side. Right, so, all of you going down with us, keep your eyes open. We're looking for a shipwreck, but there will likely be really big fish out there that look at you like food. And he says, wiggling his stump of a leg. Don't worry, it doesn't hurt that much.
Akane just kind of grips the spear for a second and goes through motions with it, because I have crab hands. I'm proficient in all weapons, at least a little bit.
I do not have one because I have a wakizashi, and that's all I'm going to use.
All right. So
he grabs one. I guess Soka grabs one because bow to the wisdom of the person whose ship you own. He's just entirely uncomfortable with it and will probably be stabbing himself in the neck with it at some point.
Soka comes back up. It's stuck, guys.
You guys come back up and immediately everybody looks at each other like, all right, who's going to explain to the boss that the son killed himself?
Underwater.
Underwater.
Is Hinata going down with them?
The plan is no, because I can't use magic underwater because I don't have any spells memorized.
All right.
Pull out the scroll. Shit.
Well,
Yeah, that's essentially the issue, yes.
All right. Stay together. Swim in groups of 2. No one get lost. And jump for it. And he sort of leans backwards and falls off the ship.
He makes a moment as if he's about to ask a question, which the question would have been, "How do you get lost in the water? It's all clear." But he's already overboard. He's like, "Oh well."
Too late now.
Hinata will remember this moment because it may be the last time she ever sees him, and that would be interesting to know.
So, Akane just kind of looks across at Arashi and is like, "You coming?" Before she also just kind of falls backwards into the water.
He has a spear as well, and he nods and just dives. Oh. Hisoka and Hayato also dive in?
Oh, yeah.
So you three, Arashi, the captain, and about 4 others, all hit the water, and dive down. And yeah, no, Hisoka, you're right. It's super clear out here. Like the water's really clean, and there's like schools of fish and things. And you look down, and it's sort of darker and greener as you look further down, and eventually, it's a lot harder to see further down than it is around you right now.
Interesting.
You
don't say.
So holding your breath, which as you sort of like holding your breath and you're not seeing anything, you sort of realize, might have a problem. As the captain,
and he was never seen again.
As the captain, who is swimming very agilely for someone with only one leg, swims up to you and slaps.
Like making circles.
No, he swims up to you and slaps you in the face.
Ah!
And all of the air you were holding comes out, and you don't start to drown.
So there's a moment of panic and scram.
And he just sort of grins at you. And swims down.
Oh shit! As I go down for the spear that I just dropped.
So you all find that you're able to breathe underwater.
Okay, I'm assuming this is a spell that he has cast.
Yeah, you all find
water breathing magic.
Yep. You all find that you are able to breathe underwater. Being
able to breathe, Akane almost immediately just kind of takes to it and just goes straight down, trying to follow after the captain.
And they swim straight down. Go ahead and give me athletics checks, everybody. Athletics swimming, if you have the emphasis.
I do not.
But I have a natural point in athletics for being a bushi.
There you go.
Yay! Untrained athletics.
17.
13.
32.
So Hayato is like a fish. Just he's not quite as good as the sailors or the captain, but he's pretty freaking good at this whole swimming thing. Hisoka, you're
It's because I can breathe.
Yeah, it's because you can breathe. Hisoka, you're having trouble with the fact that you can breathe. You start floating back up, but you're trying to swim down, and it takes you a minute to work out the sort of the orientation aspect of this.
Plus, I gotta find that fucking spear.
It started to float up, so it wasn't hard to find.
Okay.
Akane swims like a swimmer.
Yeah, Akane, you're like doing this, and you're getting there. You're not getting far, but you're getting there. And that's when you guys notice that the other sailors have their spears pointed down and are swimming with just their legs. And it seems like they're sort of using the current and the current as it's going by with the spear tip to sort of direct themselves. Which you guys sort of, well, Hayato can't because he didn't take a spear with him, but the rest of you sort of cotton onto and like sort of point the spear as you're trying to swim, and it helps you sort of aim yourself a little bit more. Hayato uses his hands. And you swim down. And after about 20 minutes of swimming, with the those of you that aren't quite as used to physical activities, your legs and arms are starting to burn at this point. From the exertion, you find yourselves looking at very dimly. It's hard to see this far down, but there's enough ambient light that you can make out what looks to be a barnacle-covered ship, sort of sunk into the ground, surrounded with reefs.
Stealth mode.
Give me a stealth check.
Underwater.
I feel like using
32.
stealth underwater does not constitute as an honor hit, just because this is not a place where, like, hiding from a shark is not the same as hiding from a person.
That's up to you.
I mean, no, absolutely not. Sharks, no, not being stealthy.
That said,
Sharks
I don't
are
know that
people too.
Sharks are people too. God damn it!
I don't know that Akane actually knows how to hide in water, so she's still not going to roll stealth.
Also, that.
So yeah, you guys swim down. Hayato, you don't hide in the water. You get to the ship and get inside.
Yep.
As many of the sailors are doing as well, and the captain. And Akane, you, Hisoka, and Arashi also follow suit. And yeah, you find yourself in this sort of shipwrecked in barnacle-covered thing. Give me investigation checks, everybody.
You gotta ask me for
Yay!
investigation.
I are good at that.
25.
12.
31.
And 2 natural ones.
All right. 25, 12, and 31. Yeah, so you guys are looking around, and this ship definitely had a lot of stuff on it. You start looking around, and you're finding like old bits of like gold, not like coins, but
Damn it! I was hoping for coins.
like gold candle holders and things like that.
Mhm.
You do find like a couple of like Koku and Boo and Zenny like sort of scattered about on the seafloor that have been severely deteriorated from years from generations of being underwater. That have barnacles on them as well that probably aren't worth much anymore unless you get them cleaned up, and certainly aren't worth their face value at the very least.
Uh-huh. Well, Hayato's looking for anything that looks weapony.
You do find, eventually, the three of you looking together, looking around, you do find a box that is sort of stuck in the mud, and burned into the side of it is a diamond with 2 smaller diamonds inside, like sort of in the inside.
Okay.
Oh,
That's
we've
the
seen that
Masamune
before,
symbol.
haven't we?
That's the Masamune symbol.
Is the
Yeah.
maker's mark for Masamune.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How heavy is it? How stuck is it?
So you reach down and grab and start pulling, and yeah, it's buried in the mud. Like it looks like something landed on it and shoved it further down,
Mhm.
and it just sort of stuck, and the mud is now just sort of suctioned around it. There's also barnacles on it, which make it hard to grab because they're sharp, and you don't want to cut your hands. So give me athletics checks, the three of you, see if you can unearth this thing.
33.
The fuck?
10.
23 with 3 dice.
Nicely done there, Hisoka.
So the two of you, Akane and Hisoka, you guys are sort of grabbing and pulling and being careful. Hayato, you're getting a little just sort of over energetic because you're
Mhm.
kind of excited. This is kind of fun. You're excited. And you sort of grab and start pulling, and your hand comes free with a sharp pain.
Oh.
And the other two of you sort of look over
Cut myself
and
on a barnacle.
you see sort of a blood trail
Oh, that's not good.
wafted
Oh,
off
dear.
of Hayato's palm
Oh, Rio,
As
are
he-
you all right?
as he
That's
as he pretty nicely gouged his palm on the barnacle. All three of you give me perception checks real quick.
yeah.
Oh, dear.
22.
Perception.
Right. Right.
23.
9941. So yeah, the three of you start looking around.
I feel like that should have been 4911.
Hayato, you start trying to bandage your hand, and Hisoka and Akane and Hayato, you start looking around, and you see off in the distance, between the broken slats of the ship that you're in, the gray body of something swim by.
I ready
And
my spear
on that note, we're going to end for the week.
as we get attacked by a shark.
Say
Flood
goodbye.
in the water.
Thanks, Hayato.
Say goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.